Okay, here's our matter study guide, and our test is coming up soon, so you can be using this to study. It should already be filled out for you, or it will be filled out soon. We're going to fill it out together in class, and then you'll have it to study each evening as you prepare for your test that's coming up. You also will have your journal if you've been putting things in your journal in your classroom. And your science book is also a great reference. You could probably take it home and study it. So let's go ahead and get started. Matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. All things are made of matter. Matter has properties. Properties describe the shape, size, color, hardness, buoyancy, and more about the matter. So, and buoyancy we talked about is whether it will sink or float. So, we looked at all kinds of different objects, and we looked at their size and shape, color. We tested the way if they sank or if they would float, and we compared them together. So, and we talked about their properties. So now we're going to think about a solid and a liquid, and you can choose anything here. So just look, you can look around you, or as we did this in class together, it'll be whatever you wrote down. I'm just going to choose a stuffed animal here. And a property of a stuffed animal would be soft. If it was a teddy bear, it might be brown, fluffy. Okay. And then a liquid might be soda. Could be Coke or Diet Coke, something like that. And fizzy would be a word, like for the carbonation. And or bubbly. Cold would describe it. Oops, I'm sorry. Can't see that, can you? Cold, bubbly, fizzy, maybe brown if it's a dark soda. Okay, so all those words would describe the property of a liquid and the property of a solid. There are three states of matter: solids, liquids, and gases, and we need to be really familiar with solids and liquids because that's what we're covering in second grade. Solids have a shape of their own. I feel like this is a little blurry. Let's see if I can get it. Not much better. For example, if I put a banana in a box, it's still gonna, the box doesn't make it change its shape. It still keeps its shape. So solids do not change their shape. So it says to list 3 examples of solids. You can list anything here. Just look around you. A chair, a desk, keys, whatever's near you, a table. It just says 3, but you can list whatever. And something we used a lot of in our experiments were rocks. They are solids. And then of course liquids. My mouse is in the way, sorry. Liquids take on the shape of their container. For example, if you put water in a cup, it's going to take the shape of the cup. If you put it in a bottle, like a taller bottle, it's going to take the shape of that bottle. We also poured liquid in a little Ziploc baggie, and it just flowed around the bag. So it's going to take the container, the shape of the container that it's in. And of course, if you spill it out on the floor, it's going to go all over the place. So any liquid that you can think of, and it doesn't have to be liquid you drink. It can be like shampoo or hand sanitizer or liquid soap, lemonade, tea. Miss Brazell's one of her favorites, coffee, soda, milk. So any liquids there you want to list. We did some experiments possibly in your classroom. You might have done some water experiments, watching it change into all 3 states of matter as it on a burner, or maybe just letting it sit out in the window. But water goes into all 3 states of matter. Water is a liquid. But when heat is added, and heat's our key word there, is added or taken away, it changes into other states of matter. When water freezes, it becomes a solid called ice. And we started with ice in Ms. Brazell's room, and we heated it up, and we watched it turn into a vapor as it went into steam. So that was pretty cool. Matter can be changed by mixing, cutting, cooking, and burning. Cutting and mixing changes the shape of matter, but it doesn't change the mass. You're not really making anything really different, you're just changing the shape. The mass stays the same unless something is added or taken away. Okay? Adding or removing heat can change matter. If you melt something or burn something, then you're getting into some changing. So I'm going to pull the second page and we're going to look at that. You're going to flip yours over. Mine wasn't on the back. Okay, so on the back we're looking at changes. Matter can be changed, and there are two types of changes. There's reversible, which is this word, reversible change, and that's when you can change matter kind of back to the way it was. So we talked a lot about mixtures, and that is a reversible change. And I think of Chex Mix. And you just kind of put some food together, some Chex Mix together with your M&Ms and your Chex Mix, and maybe if you can eat nuts or whatever, you put all that in there, but you could take it all back apart and it would still be the same foods. But that's reversible. Also, a liquid like water or even ice cream or something, melting and freezing. If it melts, if ice melts, you could refreeze it. And our whole water cycle with the rain and then it evaporating back out, and we talked about the water cycle a little bit too, is all a reversible change. So melting and freezing, ice cream, if it gets a little melty, sometimes people like to put it back in the freezer and get it hardened back up. And if your chocolate gets melted in your pocket a little bit, you can leave it or stick it in the fridge and get it to harden back up. So dissolving a solution, salt into water, a solution. I need space. Sorry. So the salt, you can't see that, can you? If you put the salt in the water and then you dissolve, and it dissolves in, and you kind of stir it up, and then it sits out for a little while, the water evaporates, but what's left behind is the salt. So even though you don't see it when you first do it, it's still the salt and the water kind of mix up and it dissolves, or sugar into sweet tea, into your tea, it becomes sweet tea. But if the tea was to evaporate, the sugar would be left behind. And that's just a reversible change. You can take that back out. The sugar or the salt is easier to take back out. So irreversible changes are when matter cannot be changed back to the way it was. It just cannot be done. So some things that are irreversible would be like cooking an egg, or really cooking anything like that. But that's just an example. Okay, and then baking a cake. When you bake a cake, you've mixed everything together, and once you have that mixture, once you bake it, you're never going to get to have that mixture again. Rust is an irreversible change. It's a chemical change. And burning wood. Again, when you burn something or you bake something, and I am thinking and talking at the same time, burning wood. Those things are irreversible changes. They cannot be changed back to the way they were. A mixture is made when two or more things come together. So we can look around and see lots of mixtures in the classroom. We mix like up our pencils and colored pencils and regular pencils, and we have a mixture of crayons and pencils and things like that. Some of our math manipulatives get all mixed up sometimes, but in life we have food a lot of times gets mixed up. We have salads, make great mixtures. When you put like carrots and cucumbers and onions and tomatoes and salad, lettuce all together, it makes a mixture. Potting soil is another example. Potting soil is made up of different kinds of dirt and sand, and you put it all together and it makes a good base for your plant. Sometimes if you look around in your toys, maybe your Legos got mixed up with another kind of block or with some little people or something like that, and you have a mixture of toys. Or in your sock drawer, and you have socks and t-shirts and underwear or whatever, you have all these things mixed up together, or you have your pants and your shirts and your t-shirts together. You have a mixture of clothes. So those are some things that are mixtures. Please study for this test and read over it, use your different journals and things to help you study. Good luck.